Hello, welcome back to the channel, folks. Glad you're here for another something extra. I know, more of me. Lucky you guys. So, if you're new here, great. Hey, welcome. Grab a seat and stay a while. And if you're one of the 45% of people that are watching this content but are not subscribed, naughty, naughty. I ask that you hit that subscribe button, ring that bell so you know when the next video pops up, smash that like button, and before you head out, drop a comment down below. And if you're one of the regulars here, welcome back. Glad you're here for another round. I ask that you hit that like button, and before you leave, drop a comment down below as well. And of course, share the video out on all these socials. Okay, before we get started, a little news here. On Wednesday this week, aside from my normal video, I will also be a guest on the Late Night with Cap. I will be a guest on his show. JT is also one of the co-hosts of the channel After the Weekend. I'm going to leave links to both those channels down below in the description, so please check them out as well. Okay, here we are. The latest installment into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Thor, Love and Blunder. We know where this is going. So, mild spoilers ahead if you haven't seen the film. I'm going to start with the positives. Christian Bale, by far, the best part of this film. His portrayal of Gore. Every scene he's in, I am engaged in his scenes. And when he needs to be, he is sympathetic. He is sadistic. He is creepy. He is terrifying. And this just goes to the actor that Christian Bale is. I mean, the cast in general is a very strong cast. The problem with Gore is he's heavily underused, almost criminally underused. And we'll go into that later. There's a couple scenes in particular that I really enjoyed. One at the beginning and one toward the end. So at the beginning, we get the origin of Gore, where he and his daughter are on this desolate planet, and he's praying to his gods to keep them safe. Well, his daughter dies. So at a oasis, he meets the god that he prays to, and he asks the obvious question: why did you allow this to happen? I pray to you. I worship you. And the god says, and so will the next person, and the next person, and the next person. And Gore is so overcome with despair that he is then allowed to wield the necro sword, which is the weapon that's used to kill the gods, and the sword infects him, and he goes on this rampage of killing gods. Another scene toward the end is with the character Jane Foster. Now, they did follow the Mighty Thor story arc where Jane has cancer. That was a limited run series that did very well in the comics. No, it didn't. But they allowed this character to come full circle to fulfill the arc, and Jane Foster dies. But it's a very earned death. It's a good death. It's a good character death. And the emotion that scene carries is very well felt. Aside from that, what happens in between that scene at the beginning and that scene toward the end is an absolute shit show clown fest. I mean, this is joke to set up the next joke, to set up the next joke, to set up the next joke, to set up the next comedic element, which sets up the next joke, which sets up the next comedic element, and so on and so forth and so forth. There is nothing. This movie is not serious because it doesn't take it. There's nothing serious about it. Nothing is treated seriously, with the exception of those two scenes. I got completely taken out of the film because nothing is allowed to be serious. There's no time for any scene to breathe and for you to feel some emotion and to go on that emotional journey to identify with the characters. And some people will say, well, that's just Taika Waititi's style. He's always been, a jokester, prankster kind of director. Let, let me address that, because I'm going to go to Ragnarok, which, yes, had a very comedic tone to it, but there were scenes that were allowed to breathe and you were allowed to feel. I'm going to go with two in particular. One right toward the beginning where Thor and Loki are reunited with Odin, and Odin passes away. And you see the emotion. You can feel the emotion of Loki and Thor. And instead of interjecting a joke, we get the emergence of Hela, which just adds more gravity to this scene. And another scene about at the midway point of the film is when Hulk transforms back into Bruce. And after seeing Natasha's face, and Hulk doesn't want to transform back to Bruce, so he's fighting it. And there's sadness and hurt and pain in his face. And the look on Thor's face, seeing his friend go through this. You're allowed to go on this little emotional journey. And it's a very well done scene. But unfortunately, people focus on the comedic elements. So if some is good, more must be better. So let's throw more jokes. And it doesn't work. And yeah, with the exception of the two scenes that I mentioned, this film is just one joke after another, and it just doesn't work. And I have heard from Andre, the creator of the channel, the YouTube channel Midnight's Edge, where he compared the Taika Waititi Thor films very accurately to the Joel Schumacher Batman films, where if Ragnarok is Batman Forever, Love and Blunder is absolutely Batman and Robin. If you've seen those films, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The over campiness, the over humor just doesn't work. So, is this the worst Thor film? It's trying to be. It really is. I'm having a hard time putting it ahead of Dark World. Yeah, it's that bad. And are people going to flock to this film? Initially, sure. I mean, what's an MCU fan's favorite thing? The next MCU thing. So this film will have a good opening the weekend. Early box office predictions have it about 20% behind Doctor Strange. That's not a good place to be. Doctor Strange underperformed by the end of its theatrical run, and if Thor is already behind that mark, this doesn't bode well. This film is going to have to really leg out and get good word of mouth, which I don't see happening. So this will be the 5th MCU film that has either underperformed or lost the money. So, not a good track record, Marvel. But hey, those are just my thoughts. Turning it back over to you now. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. And I'll see you Wednesday for my regular Wednesday video. And of course, late night with Cap. But until then, have a great rest of your weekend, guys. Always have fun. Hashtag keep talking. And always keep that smile on your face. Toodles!